This video was taken at the start of the 1930s in the capital of Romania, Bucharest. Bucharest was the home of some of the largest and scariest nationalist parties of the 1930s. Since there were so many parties, I'm only going to be talking about the two most nationalistic and most powerful parties of them all, the National Christian Defense League and the Iron Guard, also known as the Green Shirts. But before I talk about them, I need to tell you how this massive nationalist movement started. After World War I, Romania's land nearly doubled after the annexation of Transylvania, Bukovina, and Bessarabia. This meant that minority groups in Romania, such as Germans, Jews, and Hungarians, grew larger in population, which raised the anxiety levels of Romanian nationalists and anti-Semitists. This caused the creation of several new nationalist and anti-Semitism parties in hopes of creating a more pure Romanian society. The National Christian Defense League, LANC for short, was founded by A.C. Cuza and famed psychologist Nicolae Popescu. At the time, the National Christian Defense League was the largest of its kind, and they inspired many students throughout universities to make public meetings and rallies. The LANC was dedicated to fighting communism and Jewish influence in Romania, using a banner composed of the swastika merged with the Romanian flag. Over time, the LANC became associated with extreme anti-Semitism after calling for the gradual removal of rights for Jews. They wanted Jewish people's citizenships to be withdrawn and for their land to be reapportioned. They also hoped to remove Jewish people from the upper echelon of the Romanian military in fear of having it crumble from the top down. The LANC did have a significant position in the Romanian government under a new name called the National Christian Party, but King Carol II, who was the leader at the time, kicked them out in order to establish himself as dictator. The LANC was dissolved into the National Christian Party in 1935, and then the National Christian Party ended in 1938. Although the LANC never officially governed the country, they did reinforce the idea of having a pure Romanian society with no minority groups to threaten it. The Iron Guard was founded by Corneliu Zile Codreanu on June 24, 1927. The Iron Guard was arguably the most unusual mass movement of interwar Europe. It contrasted with most of its similar European movements, especially when it came to nationalism. The Iron Guard believed nationalists should never be separated from the faith and the region that they were born to, and they willingly inserted strong elements of Orthodox Christianity into its political ideology to the point where it became one of the more rare European political movements with a religious ideological structure. The Iron Guard, like the National Christian Defense League, also felt as if Romania was being taken over by minority groups and wanted to stop it. But they were much more extreme and dirty with what they did. The mysticism of the Legion led to a cult of death, martyrdom, and self-sacrifice, with its members committing suicide to show their dedication to the cause and being shot if they couldn't do it themselves. Despite their messed up rituals, the Iron Guard came third with 15.5% of the vote in the 1937 election, and gained further support from Romanian society. The king at the time strongly opposed the Guard's political aims, and when he dissolved his government to become dictator, he ordered that the Codreanu be arrested and imprisoned, where he was eventually strangled to death along with several of his party's members. On September 4, 1940, the Iron Guard formed a tense alliance with General Ion Antonescu, while under a new leader, Horia Sima. This alliance forced the abdication of King Carol II in favor of his son Michael. Once in power, the Iron Guard ratcheted the level of the already harsh anti-Semitic legislation and pursued a campaign of pogroms and political assassinations. On November 27, 1940, over 60 former dignitaries or officials were executed in prison while awaiting trial. They also attempted assassinations on former prime ministers and Carol supporters. Sima and Antonescu quarreled, and a 3-day civil war broke out, with Antonescu winning with support of the Romanian and German armies. The Iron Guard was finally suppressed in 1941, ending the Reign of Terror, once and for all.